Israel alliance is spiraling into a more dangerous phase. Now, a new front is erupting. Hezbollah, the powerful Iran-backed force based in Lebanon, has unleashed a relentless wave of strikes, hammering Israeli positions with deadly precision. The skies thunder and the ground shakes as the conflict widens. In a stark declaration, the group claims it has carried out 63 military operations in just 24 hours, targeting Israeli army positions and strategic centers. Framing its actions as retaliation, Hezbollah says the strikes are in defense of Lebanese territory and its people, answering what it calls continuous Israeli aggression. The message is clear. This war is no longer contained, and it's accelerating. The statement detailed that the operations included rocket barrages, offensive drone strikes, and artillery fire. The targets primarily focused on Israeli military gatherings, armored vehicles, bases, and troop deployment centers along the border areas and in northern Israel. Hezbollah said these sustained and precise strikes underscore the group's unwavering resolve and operational capability in confronting the Israeli regime's repeated violations of Lebanese sovereignty. The statement came after Hezbollah killed at least one person in northern Israel, the first such death from fire originating in Lebanon since the United States and Israel started their war on Iran on February 28th. Hezbollah claimed Sunday's attack targeted a gathering of Israeli enemy soldiers with a rocket barrage in the northern community of Misgav Am. Israel's Zeka 360 emergency response unit said a person was pronounced dead after a strike on their vehicle carried out by a rocket fired from Lebanon. According to the Times of Israel, citing first responders, the man was killed in a suspected anti-tank missile attack. The Magen David Adom ambulance service said two vehicles caught fire, and the man's body was pulled from one. The identity of the deceased is not yet known. This comes as Israel sent more troops to support its ground invasion in southern Lebanon, which has killed more than 1,000 and displaced some 1 million since the conflict began, according to Al Jazeera. Israel has been pounding Lebanon with air raids since a cross-border attack by Hezbollah on March 2nd, 2 days after the U.S.-Israel war on Iran started, killing its supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and triggering and escalating conflict in the Middle East. On Sunday, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said he has instructed the military to speed up the demolition of Lebanese homes in the south to end what he called the threats to Israel. Katz said the Israel army has also been ordered to destroy more bridges over the Litani River being used by Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. He said Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and he instructed Israeli forces to immediately destroy all the bridges over the Litani River that are used for terrorist activity to prevent Hezbollah terrorists and weapons from moving south. Litani River is about 30 kilometers from the Lebanon-Israel border, and the bridges are also used by civilians. Amid the Israeli escalation, fear grips Lebanon that IDF is planning to isolate the south, the heartland of the Shia community, and of Hezbollah, ahead of an operation to occupy some areas and create a so-called buffer zone. Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun said the Israeli strikes were a prelude to a ground invasion, amounting to a policy of collective punishment against civilians, and that they could be part of suspicious schemes to pursue an expansion of Israel's presence in Lebanese territory. Meanwhile, in a related development, the Israeli military said it killed a commander of Hezbollah's Radwan force and 2 others in southern Lebanon.
Tensions between Israel and Lebanon are escalating rapidly, with fresh attacks reported on both sides. A rocket fired by Hezbollah has struck the northern Israeli city of Safed. The impact caused minor damage to a road and nearby buildings. Rescue services say no injuries have been reported so far. At the same time, sirens have been sounding across the Galilee and the Golan Heights. These alerts come amid a fresh wave of rocket fire launched from southern Lebanon. The latest strike follows a deadly escalation earlier this month. On March 13th, an Israeli airstrike hit a health center in southern Lebanon. The strike in the village of Burj Kalawiya killed 12 medical workers instantly. One person was seriously wounded, while 4 others remained trapped under rubble for hours. The facility was run by Hezbollah's health arm, the Islamic Health Society. The group says it has lost at least 24 members over the past 2 weeks. This marks one of the deadliest incidents since the latest Israel-Hezbollah war began on March 2nd. Israel has expanded its strikes beyond frontline positions. More than a dozen branches of Hezbollah's financial arm, Al-Qard al-Hassan, have been destroyed. Israeli strikes have also heavily damaged Hezbollah's Al-Manar TV headquarters, and its Al-Nur radio stations have also been targeted. Additional strikes hit Amana gas stations and Sajad discount shops. These outlets are known for providing subsidized goods to low-income communities. In central Beirut, an Israeli airstrike killed Mohammed Sherry. He was the head of political programming at Al-Manar TV. His wife was also killed in the same strike on their apartment. Israel has repeatedly accused Hezbollah of using civilian infrastructure for military purposes. It also claims Al-Qard al-Hassan finances Hezbollah's military operations. However, Lebanon's health ministry has denied these allegations. Meanwhile, clashes on the ground continue to intensify in southern Lebanon. The Israel Defense Forces says it has engaged Hezbollah fighters in multiple incidents. According to IDF spokesperson Avichai Adrai, several Hezbollah operatives were targeted. One Hezbollah fighter was killed in an initial strike on Friday evening. An Israeli Air Force jet then struck additional militants who had opened fire. 3 more people were killed in subsequent tank fire, according to the IDF. The Israeli military says there were no casualties on its side. With rocket fire, airstrikes, and ground clashes intensifying, the situation along the Israel-Lebanon border remains highly volatile and unpredictable.
Uns ein Land generieren. Mit mehr als 1000 Inseln. Ein Ort, den man...
It's highly volatile and unpredictable. Tensions on the Israel-Lebanon front are escalating sharply, with fresh attacks reported from Hezbollah. The Iran-backed group Hezbollah has released new footage claiming a drone strike on an Israeli military base. According to the group, the target was the Ein Zaitin base of the Israeli army, located north of Safed. The attack was carried out using what Hezbollah described as a swarm of armed drones. In a series of statements released on Friday, Hezbollah outlined a broader wave of coordinated attacks. The group claimed it carried out a total of 9 separate operations over the course of the day. These attacks involved a mix of rocket fire and loitering drone strikes across multiple locations. Hezbollah said 6 Israeli sites were targeted, along with 2 military barracks in northern Israel. The group also claimed it struck a gathering of Israeli soldiers inside southern Lebanon. According to Hezbollah, rocket barrages were launched at intervals from dawn until midday Friday. The rockets targeted several Israeli settlements, including Shlomi, Yiftah, Shomera, Kiryat Shmona, Ramot Naftali, and Hanita. In addition to rocket fire, Hezbollah said it conducted 2 aerial attacks using swarms of loitering drones. These drone strikes reportedly targeted the Yara and Matat military barracks in northern Israel. Hezbollah further claimed that Israeli troops were targeted with rockets in the southern Lebanese town of Khiam. The developments mark a significant escalation in cross-border hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah. The situation along the northern front remains volatile, with both sides on heightened alert. Iran is signaling that its blistering offensive against Israeli and American targets is far from over. In a fiery statement, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps spokesperson Ibrahim Zolfagari declared that Iranian intelligence is closely tracking U.S. and Israeli forces, warning that even areas like Arad, recently devastated by missile strikes, remain under constant surveillance. Zolfagari also took direct aim at U.S. President Donald Trump over his pressure to completely reopen the Strait of Hormuz. He also slammed Washington, accusing the U.S. Central Command leadership of strategic confusion and warning that it could drag both the United States and Israel into what he described as a deepening quagmire.
In the name of God, the gracious, the merciful, the enemy forces, those who prefer flight over fight, the very masters of constant defeats, who make the region's Muslim people their human shields, feel a terror in every cell of their being, awaiting the moment our strikes will land, and even before impact, they'll be free from fear. And this is the just retribution for any enemy who dares to cast an evil eye upon the security of our people. Hey Trump, you are fired. You are familiar with this sentence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. The central headquarters of Khatam al-Anbiya. The true promise for operation was executed under the code name Ya Fatemeh Zahra, peace be upon her, targeting Zionist and American objectives. During this phase, based on reconnaissance conducted by intelligence operations units, newly established military deployment sites and hiding places of Zionist army personnel in various parts of the occupied territories were successfully targeted. The Prince Sultan Air Base, Locust, Yao, Sharm and the DFA are located in Al-Qars, which serves as one of the primary locations for the deployment and air operations of American aggressors against Iran, was also targeted with ballistic missiles. Says it
across different parts of what Iran refers to as occupied territories. In a significant escalation, the IRGC also said it targeted Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia's Al-Kharj, described as a key hub for U.S. aerial operations in the region with ballistic missiles. Tehran has issued a stark warning. Israeli and American forces remain under full, real-time surveillance. The IRGC cautioned that attempts to hide within civilian or residential areas will not guarantee safety from future strikes. With repeated waves of attacks and increasingly aggressive rhetoric, the conflict appears to be entering a more dangerous and unpredictable phase, raising fears of a wider regional escalation. Iran is still strong and far from broken. Despite heavy Israeli and U.S. bombardment on its military, nuclear, and other installations, Iran is now showcasing what it claims is just a fraction of its firepower. Iran's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, RIGC, sent a signal to the U.S., Israel, and the world in a new video. The video shows its immense arsenal in what appears to be an underground facility. However, the authenticity of the video is yet to be confirmed. The video began showing high-end massive weapons stored inside the facility, missiles, mobile launchers, and rows of rocket systems, all hidden, all ready. Mobile missile launcher trucks, and batteries of multiple rocket launchers in tubular or rectangular canisters were also showcased in the 1.18-minute-long video. RIGC calls it just the tip of the iceberg, awaiting the Zionist American enemy. Towards the end of the video, the RIGC mocked the U.S.'s fifth-generation F-35 stealth fighter jet. Often dubbed Invincible, the U.S. F-35 was recently targeted by Iranian forces, as per reports. The footage showed the interception of an F-35 and a missile hitting it. A symbol of U.S. air dominance is now used in Iran's propaganda and information war. It then showed X's posts on how world media covered the incident, bringing embarrassment to the United States. The video's authenticity may be in doubt, but what is not in doubt is Iran's might. The raging war is in its fourth week with no sign of a ceasefire. U.S. and Israel claim to have inflicted heavy damage on Iran's attack capabilities, but Iran continues to retaliate with heavy damage in Israel and on U.S. bases across the Middle East. The video has a defiant message. Iran is not easy to defeat. Iran still has missiles capable of bringing catastrophe. Iran possesses the largest and most diverse missile arsenal in the Middle East. The Islamic Republic significantly to improve these weapons' precision and lethality, despite being heavily sanctioned by the U.S. and the West over its nuclear program. Iranian missiles have become a potent tool to project its power in the region and a credible threat to the U.S. and its allies in the region. The arsenal includes multiple families of medium-range ballistic missiles, such as Imad, Ghadar, Sijil, Kebar, and Khorramshahr, many of which are designed to reach targets 1,000 to 2,500 kilometers away. Amid heavy bombardments, the war is set to enter a more dangerous phase, and the world will surely face the impact. A major escalation is unfolding in the Middle East, as Iran launches a fresh and powerful wave of coordinated strikes across the region. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has announced the 74th wave of its ongoing operation, True Promise 4. The group claims the latest attacks involved super-heavy missiles, signaling a significant intensification in firepower. According to the IRGC, the strikes targeted multiple locations across Israel. These include key cities such as Tel Aviv, Petah Tikva, Holon, and Ramat Gan. The group says military bases and security centers were among the primary targets. Iran claims it used a range of advanced missile systems in the operation. These include Qadr, Kebar Sheken, and Khorramshahr 4 missiles, all capable of delivering heavy payloads over long distances. But the strikes were not limited to Israel alone. The IRGC says it also targeted the Prince Sultan Air Base, a key U.S.-linked military facility in Saudi Arabia. In Bahrain, the United States Fifth Fleet was also named as a target. Iran claims missile and drone strikes were directed at positions linked to the fleet. The operation extended further into Iraq's Kurdistan region. The IRGC says it struck positions linked to the Khamenels group using a combination of missiles and drones. Among the weapons reportedly used were Imad, Fateh, and Qiyam ballistic missiles. In addition, Iran deployed what it described as offensive unmanned aerial vehicles in coordinated drone assaults. In its statement, the IRGC claimed the operation has disrupted the strategic command of United States Central Command. It also claimed to have weakened what it called a multi-layered U.S.-Israeli air defense network across West Asia. Iran further warned that any new Israeli strikes on its infrastructure, including energy or humanitarian facilities, will trigger an even stronger and broader response. Meanwhile, regional countries are already responding to the fallout. Bahrain's defense forces say they are continuing to confront what they describe as successive Iranian hostile attacks. In the United Arab Emirates, air defense systems have been activated. The United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense says it intercepted 4 ballistic missiles and 25 drones launched from Iran. Iranian state media has amplified the message, declaring that the equations of war have now shifted in Iran's favor. Iranian attacks come just as U.S. President Donald Trump made a controversial claim. Trump said Iran is now effectively dead as a threat and argued that America's biggest challenge lies elsewhere, pointing to domestic political rivals. But on the ground, Iran is signaling the opposite. A spokesperson for the Khatam al-Anbiya Central Headquarters says military operations will continue.
I'm 61 and today...
A new front threatens to intensify the conflict. Israel now believes Hezbollah is preparing to strike key strategic infrastructure, raising fears of a wider regional war. According to reports, Israeli intelligence assessments suggest Hezbollah is aiming for a major symbolic and strategic hit inside Israel in the near future. The report adds that Hezbollah may only consider a diplomatic path if a broader regional agreement is reached, one that includes an end to the ongoing war involving Iran. The warning comes as Israeli warplanes carried out multiple airstrikes on the southern Lebanese city of Qiyam, with the military describing expanded targeted ground operations towards key objectives in the region. Meanwhile, the impact of Iran's latest missile strikes continues to unfold inside Israel, particularly in the southern city of Dimona. Israeli authorities say at least 180 people have been injured in Dimona and nearby areas, making it one of the most intense and damaging phases of the conflict so far. Dimona's proximity to Israel's highly sensitive nuclear facility has made the situation especially critical, with every strike now raising concerns over the safety of strategic infrastructure and the risk of further escalation.
A massive escalation in the conflict, Iran unleashed one of its most intense missile barrages yet, striking deep into southern Israel, including areas linked to its nuclear infrastructure. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps says it has launched the 73rd wave of its ongoing operation, True Promise 4, targeting multiple Israeli cities in a coordinated assault. Footage released by Iranian media appears to show missiles being launched by IRGC personnel, though the exact time and location of these visuals could not be independently verified. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps says it launched the 73rd wave of Operation True Promise 4, targeting key Israeli cities, including Dimona, home to its most sensitive nuclear facility. At the heart of the attack was a powerful mix of advanced missile systems. The IRGC says it deployed Fatah hypersonic missiles, along with Ghadar and Emad ballistic missiles. The Fatah missile, believed to be one of Iran's most advanced systems, is designed to maneuver at high speeds, making interception significantly more difficult. Alongside it, the Ghadar and Emad missiles, both long-range ballistic systems, are capable of carrying heavy payloads with improved accuracy, allowing deep strikes into strategic targets. Iran says these missiles, combined with drone strikes, hit military and security sites in Dimona, Arad, Eilat, Beersheva, and Kiryat Gat in a coordinated barrage. The impact on the ground has been severe. Israeli authorities report at least 180 people injured in Dimona and nearby areas, marking one of the most intense strikes since the war began. Dimona's proximity to Israel's nuclear facility has made this attack particularly significant, raising fears about the vulnerability of critical infrastructure. Iran has framed the strike as retaliation for the attack on its Natanz nuclear enrichment site, a signal that both sides are now directly targeting each other's most sensitive and strategic assets. Iranian state television described the strikes as a direct response to an earlier attack on Iran's Natanz nuclear enrichment site, signaling a dangerous shift toward targeting nuclear-linked infrastructure.
A direct missile strike near one of the most sensitive nuclear sites in the world. Southern Israel rocked, defenses breached, and dozens wounded in a single evening. A chilling escalation unfolds in southern Israel as a ballistic missile slams into a residential area near Dimona. The exact moment the Iranian missile struck Dimona was captured on CCTV cameras. The desert city, home to Israel's most secretive nuclear research center, is suddenly thrust into the center of a rapidly intensifying conflict. Emergency sirens wail across the region as residents scramble for shelters, but the incoming projectile proves unstoppable. For the first time, Iran-linked missile fire appears to penetrate Israel's heavily fortified air defense systems near Dimona. According to Magen David Adom, more than 36 people require urgent medical attention following the strike. Shrapnel injuries, panic-induced trauma, and injuries sustained while rushing to shelters overwhelm emergency responders on the ground. Among the wounded, a 10-year-old boy is left with moderate injuries, a stark reminder of the civilian toll in an increasingly volatile confrontation. Scenes of chaos unfold as ambulances rush through dimly lit streets, carrying victims away from shattered homes.
So far, over 35 casualties with varying degrees of severity have arrived at the hospital. A 12-year-old child was severely injured and has now been transferred to the operating room for further treatment. Another injured person in his 20s sustained moderate injuries, and all other casualties with minor injuries or anxiety are currently being treated in Soroka's emergency room.
The strike comes with a clear message from Tehran. Iran declares it is targeting Israel's nuclear program in retaliation for an earlier attack on its Natanz enrichment facility. That facility, located deep within Iranian territory, was reportedly struck just hours earlier. Iranian state media points fingers at joint US-Israeli involvement, though Israel swiftly denies responsibility. The International Atomic Energy Agency acknowledges reports of the Dimona incident, but offers cautious reassurance. No signs of damage to the Negev Nuclear Research Center are detected, and no abnormal radiation levels are reported. Yet the symbolism of the strike cannot be ignored. Dimona, operational since 1958, represents the heart of Israel's alleged nuclear capability, a program shrouded in decades of secrecy. While Israel has never officially confirmed possessing nuclear weapons, global consensus strongly suggests otherwise. And now that very symbol appears to have been placed directly in the crosshairs. As tensions surge, another southern city, Arad, also comes under missile attack. The simultaneous strikes signal a coordinated escalation, widening the threat footprint across Israel's southern flank. Israeli defense systems, long considered among the most advanced in the world, failed to intercept the incoming projectiles. This unprecedented breach raises urgent questions about the effectiveness of existing missile defense shields. Iran's parliament speaker, Mohammad Bakr Ghalibaf, declares the moment a turning point. He claims the inability to protect Dimona signals a new phase in the conflict's operational dynamics. Back in Israel, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu delivers a somber message. He describes the evening as one of the most difficult in the nation's ongoing battle for its future. Meanwhile, the situation at Natanz continues to draw global concern.
The IAEA confirms no radioactive leakage, but begins investigating the reported strike in greater detail. Russia's foreign ministry issues a stark warning, condemning any attack on nuclear facilities. It cautions that such actions risk triggering a catastrophic disaster across the Middle East. This is not the first time Natanz has been targeted. It has previously been hit during earlier phases of the conflict, including a brief but intense war last year. But the latest exchange marks a dangerous escalation, with both sides now appearing willing to strike near nuclear-linked sites. The margin for error shrinks dramatically as the risk of miscalculation grows. For civilians on both sides, the consequences are immediate and terrifying. Air raid sirens, shattered homes, and mounting casualties paint a grim picture of a conflict spiraling out of control. The world watches closely as nuclear-linked tensions move from shadow warfare into direct confrontation. Each strike, each response, bringing the region closer to a potential point of no return. As night falls over southern Israel, the question remains, is this a limited escalation or the beginning of a far more dangerous phase in the Middle East conflict?
Urgent developments from southern Israel. Dimona, one of the country's most sensitive locations, has come under missile attack, with dramatic visuals capturing the moment of impact. Videos circulating on social media appear to show a powerful explosion as a missile strikes the ground, sending debris and smoke into the air. The footage remains unverified, but has rapidly spread online. Open-source intelligence accounts are suggesting that the missile may have struck a bomb shelter in the Dimona area, raising questions about the intended target. Some assessments indicate that the site lies close to Israel's highly guarded nuclear facility in Dimona, prompting speculation about whether the strike was aimed. The Dimona region is home to the Shimon Peres Negev Nuclear Research Center, widely believed to be central to Israel's nuclear program, making any strike in its vicinity particularly alarming. Amid the escalation, Iran's Revolutionary Guard Aerospace Commander, Brigadier General Sayed Majid Musavi, has claimed missile dominance over Israeli skies, signaling confidence in Tehran's ongoing campaign. He further warned that the skies over southern Israel would remain bright